Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Feast Mode, the show in which I break my fast with a bang bang, two separate meals from two different sources, tied together by some kind of theme. Today I am really excited to break my nearly 25-hour fast with two meals that I pulled from two of the most celebrated movies of the past year, and that's going to be Parasite and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. From the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm pulling the mac and cheese, the Kraft Mac and Cheese that Brad Pitt eats in that one scene. And of course from Parasite, I'm pulling the Jjapaguri, aka Ramdon. Real quick before we get started, let's take a quick peek at the aesthetics right there. Beautiful looking food. Very excited about this. And this is something I've wanted to do for the past month and a half, but as some of you may know from seeing my previous videos, I'll post them right here. I precluded myself from eating meat at all for the month of February. So I think the Oscars happened towards the second half of January, so I just kind of held out until then, or maybe the beginning of February. Either way, now's the time to finally indulge in some of these movie foods that I've really been keeping my eye on for the past month. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into it. Let's start with the mac and cheese, and I used the Kraft Deluxe version of the mac and cheese, original cheddar. Okay, normally I would get the one with the powdered blue cheese, the thin long box that we all know and love growing up. But funny enough, they actually didn't have any of that in stock when I went to the grocery store. I think it's because of the coronavirus. Many of the shelves were emptied out. Just tons of people in there, just kind of packing up their shopping carts. So I wasn't able to get that. So I got probably the upgraded version of that, the deluxe version, which comes with the cheese sauce. There we go. It's been a long time since I've had this actually. Wow. That's good. Very salty, but very cheesy. Noodles are perfectly cooked. It's hard to mess that up, really. For a lot of people, including myself, this is one of the first things I learned how to cook when I was a kid. Even though I haven't had it in a long time, I still remember very distinctly how this tastes. I actually managed to cook these al dente. Not bad. Alright. But moving on to the showstopper right here. The Jjapaguri, aka the Ramdon from the hit film Parasite. This is actually a mixture of two different instant noodles that are very popular amongst Koreans and pretty much everybody else. That, once you try it, this is the type of noodle that once you try it, you're gonna love it. It takes Jjapaguri, which is like a instant version of jjajangmyeon, which is a very popular black bean noodle dish with pork and vegetables, a Chinese Korean dish actually. And this is noguri, hence the Jjapaguri. It's a combination of both of these words. And noguri is like an instant version of another very popular Korean Chinese dish or Chinese Korean dish, jampong, which is basically thick udon noodles in a spicy seafood broth. So I'm expecting this to be very savory from the Jjapaguri, and a little bit of heat and some seafood flavor from the noguri. On top of that, I added some grilled sirloin, and I chopped up some cucumber for the aesthetics and sort of a textural change as well. Whenever you get jjajangmyeon in a restaurant, it generally comes paired with cucumber as well. And every time you get jjajangmyeon as well, you get some of this, which is called takkwang or tamaji, which I think is the Japanese name, and it's basically pickled radish. So enough of that. Enough talk. Let's get into this. I've waited a month for this. So I'm gonna give this a quick stir real quick. Okay, this is only about 3 to 4 minutes since I removed it from the stove, so it's still pretty hot, which is good. Usually when I eat food on this channel, things are a bit cooled down. and I don't like microwaving things if I can avoid it. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. If you can't see it, this thing is steaming like a volcano. There we go. Wow. That is really good. That is awesome. Really. The first thing you taste is the black bean flavor, and then after a couple seconds, that spicy seafood flavor definitely hits you. Though I will say, I think I've overcooked these noodles just a tad. Normally when I eat Jjapaguri, when I eat these two noodles, they're always separate. This is the first time I've ever combined them because of the movie Parasite, and it's fantastic. That spicy kick from the nuggety really kind of changes everything about this dish. Honestly, I think I picked the wrong meat for this. The movie Parasite, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely go out and check it out. It's my favorite movie of 2019. One of my favorite movies in the past 10 years, I'd say. It's fantastic. It's so good. But there's a scene where one of the characters, Mrs. Park, is returning home from a failed camping venture with her family, and she asks her maid to cook up this dish. And she asks her to top it off with Hanu beef. But Hanu beef is not something that's widely known by global audiences, and it's South Korea's version of Wagyu beef. So really fat, really luxurious, very expensive, obviously, to the Jjapaguri noodle dish. Which kind of goes and plays to one of the major themes of the movie, having two opposite ends of the spectrum as far as social class combined in one place. The Kims and the Park families represent very poor and very rich, and they're kind of living in the same house, kind of like this dish right here. And these noodles right here are very cheap, actually. This entire meal, without the steak, would have been about $4 at the store. Damn, it's good. This steak is just not tender enough. It's a sirloin steak. This one is tough. It's dog food, man. I think you're getting some of this Samus. Samus is right behind the camera, just looking at me, just peeking. She does that thing when you look at her. She kind of looks away, but kind of side eyes you the whole time. I will make this again, and I'll substitute the sirloin for probably ribeye, my favorite cut. All right, going back to the mac and cheese. I mean, this mac and cheese is like it's comfort food, you know? This is nostalgic. It feels like home. It feels like a warm, cheesy hug. And this deluxe version with the sauce is definitely a lot better than the powdered cheese mix. The noodles are thicker too, from what I remember. And I remember with the powdered mix version, the noodles will clump up together after a few minutes. Not so with this. All still separated. Really nice. I do, however, think I could kick it up a notch a bit. Let's see. I think jalapeno will go well with this. Jalapeno sauce. A lot of places now you see sort of elevated mac and cheese dishes on menus with the baked breadcrumbs on top and different mix-ins, and I see jalapeno paired up with the mac and cheese a lot, so I think this is gonna work. Yeah, that's good. This piece for sure is not gonna be good. Got that white sort of, what is that, a ligament, a tendon? Not fit for me. Hey, Samus. Samus. Good girl. Good girl. Why'd you even chew it? I'll tell you though, this Jjapaguri is amazing. I would recommend this to everybody. It's not too spicy. Those people that can't handle heat, it's not that spicy. It's just the right amount to know that it's there and kind of just hangs out in the background. I don't think you'll have any problems with this. And it's just savory and it's delicious. The cucumbers, fresh and crunchy. Really nice contrast to the soft, tender noodles. The only mistake, like I said, is my choice of beef. Get something expensive. Get something good. Get something tender. This sirloin ain't it. Let's go with the big. Let's go for a big bite here. So good. Passing off between these two dishes is not necessarily the greatest combination, but I came into this meal super hungry. I just came back from a workout, and the appetizer's raring to go. Luckily, my gym, when I went to the gym, this time of day, it should normally be very packed, but when I went, it was maybe 30% of what I normally see there. And people are just scared of the COVID-19, and I can't blame them. I think it's a disaster, and how we're dealing with it is not the greatest either. Luckily, the people in my gym are very good at wiping down the machines and the equipment, myself included. I wipe down the handles. Anytime I touch a weight, I wipe it down. I mean, I make sure that I leave the place, the machinery, the equipment in a better condition than I started with. This might be okay. Nah. Damn. Really wanted this to be amazing on the. Really wanted this beef to be amazing, but it's not. So good. As good as this is, I think I can improve it with a little bit of heat. This is a Korean hot sauce. If you guys have ever seen those videos or tried those spicy ramens yourselves, this is the exact same sauce. So you know, this sauce does not play around. Oh my god, look how thick it is. Like magma. You don't want to go too crazy with this. So talking about Parasite, as I mentioned earlier, it is my favorite movie of 2019. I'd probably place it as my #1 South Korean film of all time, and I've seen well over 100 in my days. I'm just a big fan of film, and South Korean film has a very special place in my heart because I'm South Korean, and because the movies are just so damn good. And if you think Parasite winning 4 Oscars for Best Foreign Language Film, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Picture. It's a fluke. It's kind of an anomaly. It is definitely not. In fact, about 20, 25 years ago in the mid-90s, an influx of South Korean directors kind of hit the scene. And what started what's called the Korean New Wave. And that's when the Korean film industry really kind of matured. They've been making films for like since the 1950s, 1960s, maybe even earlier. But that's when they really kind of figured it out, how to make great film, great stories, how to develop characters, cinematography, all of that. And the Korean New Wave really started in about the mid 90s to late 90s, and they just started pumping out great film after great film. If I were to make a top 100 films of all time, probably 20% of them would be Korean films. That's how good they are. And I'm well aware that there's still a lot of people out there that don't know much about South Korean film or Asian film in general, or any kind of film outside their wheelhouse or the comfort zone of like Hollywood, maybe some Western indie films. So I'm going to leave a list right here. Consider it a starter pack of great South Korean films from the past 2 decades that I personally recommend. Now, some of these are on my best of all time, but not all of them are necessarily. But they're all, I picked movies here that kind of encompass a wide range of genres. So anybody can kind of pick and choose and find something they like, hopefully. Yeah, still steaming after all this time. That is super spicy. Super good. And that's a fairly decent looking piece of meat. Unfortunately, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is my least favorite Quentin Tarantino film. And as a huge fan, I love everything he's ever put out. I've seen everything he's ever put out, with the exception of Jackie Brown. Didn't love that one. I put that kind of on par with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Just kind of missed the mark for me in terms of like the sharpness, wittiness of his dialogue. It's usually on point, but I feel like it really wasn't this time. So it's definitely something I want to revisit, because I just find it hard to believe that I didn't love it as much as I loved his other films. So at some point in time, I'll definitely see it again. With mac and cheese, definitely 2 thumbs up. Love it. Nostalgia is a strong seasoning, but I don't think it's needed for this. I think it's really good on its own, if not a tad bit salty. Adding the jalapeno sauce helped in my opinion, but your mileage may vary. Now as for the Jjapaguri, 100% recommended to anybody out there who likes instant noodles. Not even if you're a fan of instant noodles, just a good noodle dish that you can make at home in about 6-7 minutes. I would recommend adding the cucumbers for a nice textural sort of contrast, and I recommend adding a premium cut of beef, not sirloin, where you're gonna get those white streaky ligaments or tendons or whatever they are. Samus. But the noodles themselves are amazing. Honestly, this is really, really good. I think I got another bite in me before I gotta tap out. happy Sam. Eating some beef, eating some steak. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'm full, comfortably full. So make a good lunch for tomorrow. I might eat this in an hour or so before I go on another fast. If you guys like the video, definitely please hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel, and then leave me a comment down below. Let me know, have you guys tried the Jjapaguri? Have you seen any Korean films? If you have, let me know which ones your favorites are, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Till next time, Beast Mode out.
Started out with half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.